It's June 13th, 2023, and this is how things are evolving. XRP is about to get the green light in the code. Now, why would I say that? Because once you actually put all of this in a proper line and read it, now anyone who reads that get the understanding how things actually evolved and how these guys who are inside this case thinking about that, because now that becomes super important, because the way these guys are using their words, they think 10 times before they do. And now we are reaching to that conclusion that all these guys have been sold out for sure, because if this guy is right now saying majority of the crypto assets are not securities, and once he takes the chair things change, majority becomes a security, and they went trying two extreme things. Now the judge actually went just opposite. So the federal judge has not ordered a temporary restraining order on Binance's asset, but they actually told, come on guys, take a cup of coffee, sit and discuss, right? So now, most importantly, why is this really important? Because when you can literally see that the entire trading and markets department from the SEC is telling this particular director, buddy, you're actually moving out of the lane. That is not legal. That literally should blow your mind off. That means if we as common human beings can read this and understand this, an experienced judge is going to completely obliterate the SEC. And that's one of the reasons I think why, 4 out of 5 cases, SEC actually fails. Now, one of the prior claims, which I would like to think about this in my way, in my thought process, I would actually claim we just won the case. Just look at these 3 things and it's like, yeah, we just won the case. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get to learn how to become the next top 10% of this crypto world. Now, in the last video, we actually went in depth and talked to this, clearly highlighting the fact that the rumor was this date people bought in, right? The price slowly grinded up. And now that just happened and people actually dumped. So initially the market actually thought, okay, the Hinman emails, which there was a contradiction, like, okay, maybe they'll release later, maybe they won't release. That got released and the market just popped. We went close to 0.57. But then the market started understanding, okay, we don't actually have a lot of information, which we really wanted to have. But that's not actually true. If you observe the fact that here you can see that within, now this is actually clear. At first, I was also thinking like, okay, this is not a part of SEC document, but it is actually. Now we got the confirmation that it is. You can actually read through this and it clearly states, based on the above analysis and subject to the qualification of the and assumptions set forth herein, we believe as of the date, XRP does not satisfy all elements of Howey analysis. Now, when you read through that back in 2019, you need to understand these crazy individuals just went on screwing XRP as an asset after all this was happening. Now, you go forward and you actually see this. Within that one, you actually get this direct quote, right? Because Hinman's new test goes beyond typical Howey analysis. Now, I would say like, Hinman, whatever enamel you call him, that was not the right thing to do. And that is one of the reasons why you see even Brad highlighting how he compiled this fake test in the first place. So we go back to this. XRP does not fit in Howey test as a security. So these guys actually went on creating a new test which is fake in their own ways, and now they gave some clarity for Ether. But then you actually go on looking at how things are evolving within that space. Now you clearly get the idea how things are moving forward. So here you actually get the idea that, okay, that's all true, and you actually get Lana kind of giving you the idea that okay, the fair notice is going to be critical. If that goes with Ripple, that means it's one, fair notice. Two, XRP as an asset itself does not fit the context of a security, even in terms of the SEC themselves. So how can you go on further saying that is, right? And then you see how the judges are actually working towards SEC's arguments. They also understand these guys, they don't even have a clue about what they are saying. And yes, the panic was in the market, but CZ Binance was giving you the idea, no, we haven't sold any of these. We even hold the FTT token right now. So they are saying, okay, we are the good guys, don't worry, we're not dumping on you. But at the same time, you need to understand there are a lot of these different scenarios evolving right now in the market where, you can actually see the vitamin filled butter in my toast should be toast, should be toast. Because while you actually go through a lot of this, you actually get to see a number of things which these guys say it's not present there. But especially if you actually look at Digital Asset Investors tweet here, following back to the old tweet, it kind of gets it a little bit clearly. Yeah, this is a security for sure. There is no doubt about that, right? Those guys were actually selling to make money, to make their runway, to develop that project. So clearly, in their own words, if you actually put it into the HOVE terms, now you have the common enterprise, you have investors seeking money and capital gains. And now you actually fit into all of those. But then the Hinman comes out and puts it in a different way, saying, nah, it's sufficiently decentralized now. It was a security, but it is not now. Even in that, now the question is the SEC actually going to throw this guy under the bus? I mean, maybe they will. And if so, now this is a huge concern. If that's true and the market digests this information as it is, Ether may actually break this support. And if it does, it's going to be panic, it's going to be fear, which is going to actually move into that realm of panic where people are going to dump this asset. And that means a lot of layer 2 is going to have the same impact. So ERC, yeah, there is a lot of issues. We understand that completely. But right now, if we don't bounce back up and break this level of resistance, technically speaking, you are getting screwed here. Technically, Ether is about to get screwed on that particular point. So now, while we look at XRP, we are like, okay, we are still inside this range, but if we break that to the downside, yeah, we are also coming back down to 0.45 because we actually went higher, we got rejected, so the selling pressure is extremely visible. Now, one of the reasons can be like, Ether is weak right now. And with all these releases, you remember those guys, the Novo Grats? He was actually saying, this shitcoin, we were shorting that all the way from like 3 point something. They don't see any utility for this particular asset. Now we actually understand all these conspiracy, or which people thought as conspiracy, is not a conspiracy. All these guys are involved in that scam project. So especially when I actually talk about, putting that vitamin butter in my toast, I would say this guy should be toast. You remember this guy actually tweeted out something saying, Ripple and XRP right now don't have any argument to put forward when they were getting screwed, and they were giving the highlight like Ether is Chinese controlled, Bitcoin is Chinese controlled based on the mining pool back then, right? It was actually true, but these guys actually got frustrated and they actually came out against it. So right now, the simple thought process here on the fundamental side of the news and narratives which we are getting is that SEC as an organization is proved to be corrupt. There is no doubt in that. Ripple is going to clearly win their fair notice argument, and SEC staff itself highlights the fact that the amount of confusion generated by this is for sure, there is no doubt in that. When the SEC staff themselves put in the word, read this, greater confusion on what is a security, right? So they themselves actually created this because they actually put in a new law. So now we at least have some basic understanding of what's happening. clearly, right now, XRP as an asset doesn't fit into the OV analysis and it is not a security. And you can actually read it directly from the SEC itself. And then you go on watching, the current base which we have as far as the regulatory foundation is considered for crypto in the US. It is now understood as a proper scam or fraud in whichever way you put it, right? And here Brad Garlinghouse actually goes on and highlight, like, I wouldn't use the word fraud, but he's not a lawyer. And he says, I think we can all agree that our government should act with integrity. The SEC, despite the industry asking for clarity, is actively approaching crypto in bad faith. Now, I would say this guy is like a saint. He's trying to control himself as much as possible, but this is true. Taxpayers, if you're in US, understand this. You as a taxpayer is paying for these idiots in SEC to act in good faith for you guys, but what they're doing is screwing you, allowing the Russia, the China, and the other countries to take advantage of the system. There is no other way to put that in. And now you have to actually think about this. A federal judge coming out and saying, I think SEC is not acting with integrity or any good faith, clearly shows, like, what these media guys are thinking and what reality is. So that kind of gives you the narrative of the media, the advertisers, money flow, all of them. Now, let's actually jump a second into the technical side of things. What are we really doing? In terms of XRP, we actually got a candle on a weekly confirming, okay, we have some bearishness coming in. Then, yeah, this is only Tuesday. We still have time for this weekly candle to close. But if you actually think about it, you'll actually clearly see that at the resistance, we got one weekly candle which closed as a little bit of negative momentum, showing us a little bit of negative momentum. And the next candle is showing you a hammer pattern. So if it actually closes anyway here or going to the downside, that means we do see some selling pressure happening in the market. There is no doubt about that. Now, the market was anticipating that the price is about to blow off through the roof, which didn't happen. And as we discussed in the last video, giving the clear thought process, most likely it's going to be sell the news. And it seems like it is. But what's great, at least as of now, we haven't actually dumped all the way back to 0.4, 0.44 or any other support levels. We're still inside this range, which actually shows some buyers are still active in the market. But remember, if you actually look at the charts of Bitcoin, it's still inside the range. We haven't actually changed anything. We're still range bound. The market is slowly trying to do something, but it has not given a confirmation to us as of now. So if you're actually watching this particular asset, say on the shorter time horizon, you would actually put in the perspective like, yeah, we actually tried to break higher. We came back down, immediately got rejected. Now we are trying to bounce off and break through. And if that gets validated, that means you're actually going towards the next level of resistance. That is in itself positive. But then you actually go on to Ether. You want to actually put in the perspective from the Hiknashi to see where the momentum is. It actually is helpful. And on a daily, it shows, yeah, I'm red, I'm going down. On a weekly, it's showing you, I'm testing the moving average, but I'm still red, right? So on a daily, we're still here. We haven't actually changed into green. So most likely, the next day will also be red. But now you actually zoom in and on the 4-hour chart, it actually clearly shows that it is turning green, which actually means there is some level of buying happening. But if you actually look at this on the technical side of the support resistance, you'll actually see like this particular range is going to act as a resistance zone. We made that level as a support for a long period of time in the shorter time horizon, and then broke to the downside. So if you actually go higher, retest that level and get rejected, that is going to be positive. Now, yes, this is a short-term move, so you can actually use Faber if you actually like to. And if you do that, you'll say, okay, somewhere close to like, 1,800 is still a possibility. We may still get rejected somewhere close to that level. Now, before that, understand the fact that when we actually dropped last time, if you actually take this into consideration, you can actually say, okay, the bounce actually came somewhere towards 0.38. So that means sellers were still dominant. By 0.38, the sellers came in. So this level of resistance is still valid. So while the market tries to get a direction, don't just go hyping into the market, because a lot of other people are actually giving you that narrative. You make sure the price is bouncing off and getting a confirmation that it is about to blow through the roof. If not, we are stuck inside this range. We haven't actually done anything much since we entered here. We are actually range bound. So if we actually get a break to the upside or to the downside, now you know which direction we are actually about to move further. So that being said, on the daily, yes, we are watching the price at support, and usually that should actually show us how we should continue higher. But if we don't, the weekly charts actually give you the idea. We actually closed below the 21-day moving average, and right now, which is like the Monday, the Tuesday is already there, and you're actually watching the next candle close, the Wednesday is starting, and you're still below that moving average, which is not actually a positive news, especially here with all that's going on for Ether. That doesn't look like a positive story. So you can actually go on the short-term narrative, say look at the Heikin on the short term, and then see what the price action is doing. Because if the price action decides to go down, getting rejected from the moving average, that may not look good. So you go on to the Bitcoin side of things, and you can put the argument, yeah, we broke higher, we are retesting that, and if we bounce off, that means it's positive on the short term, meaning you're running higher, and even XRP should actually follow that. But right now, what I'm watching here is that we went up, we came back down hard, we broke the moving average, we retested the moving average, and right now we're getting rejected. So yes, we need to look at a higher time frame structure. And on a 4-hour chart, it shows, yeah, we got rejected, but we are at the level of support and above the moving average. So that's actually positive. Now we go on a daily, and you're like, we still have some room to downside to reach the 21-day moving average. Now, we are watching volatility, right? We are literally watching volatility, but the daily candle is still red. So assuming that the next day can also be red is not a bad thing, because, let's stay conservative. And once the market actually give the proper direction, showing us, yeah, I'm headed higher, then we can go bullish. And regularly, on the regular intervals, I'm actually following all these assets and trying to give you guys the right thought process about the right assets, market, the market structure, macro, and everything possible in here. So if you are looking to follow that, you can actually look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.